Good evening, viewers. You're watching India Upfront, and I am Swati Joshi. Let's first take a look at the video that has been shared from Vikram, the lander, to Earth. And it has been 26 hours, remember, since India achieved the moon milestone. Fascinating insights about the surface of moon have the science buffs spellbound. Look at the first video of how the lander imager camera has captured the surface of moon just moments before the touchdown. Let's first take a look at the entire video. And while the entire nation, of course, is celebrating the success of Chandrayaan 3 mission, a credit war and politics on that has begun in the nation. We're all looking at these images that the lander and rover are sharing. We are sharing it with our friends and family and, expressing our sentiments as to how proud every Indian feels at this point of time. There are politicians in the country who are indulged in credit war. Even as all eyes are on the moon and new frontiers opened by Chandrayaan, there are some back home who are busy eyeing who's getting the credit for success. Now, the opposition has accused Prime Minister of stealing the limelight. Hear how the Prime Minister once again congratulated our scientists from the shores of South Africa.
चंद्रयान का लैंडिंग हो जाता साउथ पोल पर, उसके बाद आप बोलते तो ये आपको बोलने का अधिकार है, बोलना भी चाहिए, लेकिन उसके पहले ही आप दे रहे हैं। लग रहा जैसे कि जाप कर रहे हैं, ओम चंद्र चंद्राय नमः। इसका क्या औचित्य है? इसका औचित्य है कि आप प्रचार के भूखे।
सबसे बड़ी बात यह है कि इसरो के माध्यम से जो चांद पर हम पहुंचे हैं वो क्रेडिट वैज्ञानिकों को जाता है, लेकिन कुछ मीडिया चैनल और भारतीय जनता पार्टी के कुछ लोग वैज्ञानिकों को क्रेडिट नहीं दे करके कहीं ना कहीं क्रेडिट देने का तरीका दूसरे हिसाब से, आप वैज्ञानिकों को बधाई दे सकते हैं, वैज्ञानिकों का कहीं ना कहीं क्रेडिट का आप राग अलाप सकते हैं, लेकिन स्वयं अपने स्तर से मीडिया हाइप करके जो क्रेडिट लेने का प्रयास कर रहे हैं, किसी भी दृष्टिकोण से ठीक नहीं।
वो गलत बोल रहे हैं आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी ने, और जो उसके चीफ हैं सोमनाथ जी, उनको फ़ोन करके बोला भी और कहा भी कि मैं आऊँगा, और उसके लिए अभी 26 तारीख उन्होंने डिसाइड कर दी कि इसरो जाएंगे, वैज्ञानिकों से मिलने का काम करेंगे। मैं कह रहा हूं कि इन लोगों को डर पैदा हो रहा है कि इनका फायदा कहीं जो है पॉलिटिकल तरीके से प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी को ना मिल जाए।
ये केवल भारत के लिए ही नहीं बल्कि पूरे विश्व के वैज्ञानिक समुदाय के लिए एक बहुत बड़ी उपलब्धि है। और जिस क्षेत्र में भारत ने अपना टारगेट तय किया था, वहां पहले कभी कोई प्रयास नहीं हुआ है। इस ऐतिहासिक अवसर पर आप सबकी तरफ से मुझे, भारत को, भारत के वैज्ञानिकों को और दुनिया की वैज्ञानिक कम्युनिटी को जो बधाई के संदेश मिले हैं, मैं सार्वजनिक रूप से आप सबका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद करता हूं।
Well, in fact, the Congress and its allies have made it a point to underscore in every congratulatory tweet and reaction that India's space program owes its genesis to Nehru's vision.
We all are proud Indians at this moment, and we are all a part of the success. If Digvijay ji is giving credit to Nehru for inception of ISRO, there is nothing bad in it. When something successful happens, there are always many visible hands and invisible hands. So if ISRO was founded by Nehru and that ISRO has done such a wonderful job, he also deserves a part of the credit.
It's very unfortunate that so many political parties are so afraid of celebrating India's historic moment, which has happened while Prime Minister Modi is the government. The credit goes to our scientists, to ISRO, to everyone who has worked in the last mission to this mission. The Prime Minister himself, Modi ji, is acknowledging that. But the government is of Prime Minister Modi, where the budget has gone up, the number of satellites being launched has gone up. Everything that they wanted is being done. But just because Prime Minister Modi, they have a personal dislike for him, they are unable to give the credit to the government for doing its bit.
सफलता इसरो की है, इट इज़ ऑब्वियस. और चंद्रयान ये तीसरा है बहुत सालों से. आई मीन मेरे ख्याल से नेहरू जी वाज द फर्स्ट प्राइम मिनिस्टर ऑफ दिस कंट्री, और उन्होंने हमेशा कहा था कि आप जो विज्ञान है, विज्ञान का हमेशा प्रसार होना चाहिए, और देयर हैज़ टू बी अ साइंटिफिक टेम्पर टू इंडिया. और उसी लिए हम सब 60 साल से 70 साल से काम कर रहे हैं. और आज का जो सरकार है केंद्र में, वो भी विज्ञान की बात कभी कभी करती है सिलेक्टिवली. सो वी वेलकम. और ये पूरा क्रेडिट ऑब्वियसली सरकार का कम और इसरो का ज़्यादा है.
Absolutely not. You see, the facts are otherwise. Today we live in an evidence-based world. So when we talk, we need to talk with facts, figures and statistics. And that's what is accepted. I mean, you can't just indulge in political rhetoric and score a point. Now, this question actually was asked even on the 14th of July when the launching of Chandrayaan 3 happened. And one of the media persons, when I was there in city headquarters near the launching site, said that somebody from the Congress party has said what is being said now, that the credit should not go to this government, credit goes to so-and-so government. Then I asked him, how many times had you come here before? The friend said, I have come here for the first time. I said, no, that is the difference.
Well, you've heard all the reactions, you've heard both sides. The question is, who really is stealing limelight? Who is trying to take credit? Let's open this up and go across to our guests. Tonight we're joined by Sanju Verma, national spokesperson of the BJP. We have Shubhrashta, author and founder of The Churn. Lokesh Jindal, Congress leader. Professor Subodh Mehta, RJD national spokesperson. We have Ravula Sridhar Reddy, senior leader of the BRS, Vivek Silas, and a spokesperson of Samajwadi party is also joining us in the broadcast. Good evening to all of you. Lokesh Jindal, in the entire speech of the Prime Minister, he kept on giving all the credit to ISRO. He in fact also dedicated the Chandrayaan 3 mission to humanity. Then how is the Congress party, and why is the Congress party alleging that he stole limelight and that the credit does not, belong to him? When did the Prime Minister in the entire speech say कि मुझे credit दे दो, it is me who has done it? He gave the credit to ISRO.
The BJP party president JP Nadda, he stated that he wants to thank Prime Minister Narendra Modi because Vikram landed on moon. You know, there is a reason why Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru, he made sure that the space secretary is not a career bureaucrat, but a scientist. So it's the only department where we do not have IAS officers as secretary to that particular department, but we have scientists heading that particular department because Nehru wanted to make sure that there is no political interference in the functioning of the scientific fraternity. This achievement belongs to the scientists of this country.
Then why did the Congress party? Why did the Congress party, why did leader after leader of the Congress party, ever since news came of the successful soft landing, start giving credit to Jawaharlal Nehru?
Yes, because it was the vision of Jawaharlal Nehru who made sure that the education system in India remains scientific. It was his effort that we have a Department of Atomic Energy formed. It was his effort that we have INCO's power. And he made sure that despite of budgetary constraint, there was adequate budget that was given to these particular departments. But make sure, but please note that in 2023 budget, 8% reduction was made for the Department of Space. This particular government has neglected the departments of science and technology, department of space.
So if under this government claims that we've invested and we've increased the space budget, and these missions are happening under the regime of the current establishment, why is that wrong? Why is the mention of that wrong, and you mentioning Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru is right?
In 2023 budget, the Department of Space allocation was reduced by 8%. Now, please tell me, on what factual basis are they claiming that the budgetary expenditure has been increased? And secondly, if you compare the tenure from that of Jawaharlal Nehru to the present times, mind it that at that point of time, India had just become independent and we were not having significant budgetary outlays, but still we were able to give a considerable budgetary outlay to the scientific fraternity. That is what is important. Today,
if we have such a milestone, Sanju Verma, that is what is important, but the BJP, instead of giving the credit where it's due, has only been stealing limelight.
Okay. I heard now, Lokesh. I just want to make a couple of points. The entire country, celebrates ISRO's stellar achievements. Our scientists don't need an endorsement from any political party. And the fact that we rose like a phoenix after Chandrayaan 2 in 2019 failed to do what it set out to do. It only goes on to show that sometimes you need to have a hard landing, as Sachin Tendulkar said, in order to have a successful soft landing. Now, cutting through the faff and, coming straight to your question. Yes, Jawaharlal Nehru set up INCOSPAR in 1962, but Jawaharlal Nehru died in 1964. INCOSPAR did precious little in those 2 years between 1962 and 1964. Now, whether INCOSPAR was renamed as ISRO in 1969, that's not the debate. But the debate today is also not about whether Prime Minister Modi deserves the credit. But it cannot be a sheer coincidence, Swati, that the largest number of satellites launched in the last 9 years have happened under the aegis of Prime Minister Modi. Till date, India has launched 431 foreign satellites for 34 countries. Out of these 431 satellites, 397 were launched in the last 9 years, which means 92% of the satellites that India has launched till date were launched under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi. You don't want to give credit to Modi? Fine. What happened in 2017? We broke the erstwhile Russian record and launched 104 satellites in a single mission.
Okay.
That was a new record. That happened under the aegis of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The fact that India's space industry will be a 13 billion industry by 2025. That also the footprint has been laid by Prime Minister Modi. And since Lokesh mentioned facts, I would urge you to go and look up the archives of ISRO. You will be surprised to know that while India's space industry will be a $13 billion industry by 2025, France, Germany are still at $4.5 billion. Only China has a slightly higher budget at $17 billion. So please don't come, Lokesh, and peddle fake data. And I just want to say one thing. Even the Aditya L1 mission to explore the corona and the chromosphere of the sun, that is being done at a measly cost of merely 378 crore.
Right, but then Sanju Verma,
but we are doing a lot more than our peers.
That is all the efforts and technological innovations and advancements all being done by the scientists, isn't it? So isn't BJP also falling in that trap and indulging in the credit war every time, saying that all of this is happening under our leadership?
No, I will be very brazen about this. I believe that unless there is political will, and that political will is amply demonstrated by a leadership that has the courage of conviction to execute projects, no matter who you are, until there is political willpower, you cannot achieve the kind of milestones that India has achieved. And while we celebrate ISRO, I just want to remind you, when Chandrayaan 2 failed to have a successful lunar landing on the moon, I can show you umpteen tweets from everybody in the Congress to the RJD to TMC, taking a pot shot at Narendra Modi. यदि आप नरेंद्र मोदी के ऊपर लांछन लगा सकते थे,
Lokesh Jindal, you did that. You've been doing it constantly. Your party has been constantly doing it. Every time India achieves a milestone, every time there is an accomplishment, the Congress party starts this credit war. Now, Sanju Verma says there has to be a political will. Let me, in fact, also remind you, Lokesh Jindal, of what the former ISRO chairperson G. Madhavan Nair said. In 2019, he leveled an allegation saying that the UPA government wanted to show some major event before the 2014 election, and with that objective, the UPA government went ahead with the Mangalyaan mission. So who really was trying to, score political brownie points here?
Well, Swati, the credit must be given to the person who deserves it. You cannot have one person every time claiming all the credit.
No, you're not answering. You're not answering. You're not answering the question. You're not answering the question. I told you about the allegation leveled by the former ISRO chairperson. How do you respond to that? That the Congress Party wanted to use a space mission for its own benefit to probably, show themselves as a government that supports science and technology and invests heavily in space missions, and that's why they preponed a space mission. How do you respond to that for political gains?
The functioning of the department, as I told you before, it is headed by a scientist, not by career bureaucrat. It is directly under the Prime Minister's office. So it has got a minimal political interference. And secondly, if you talk about during the Congress regime, already there were a lot of achievements. The Chandrayaan 1 mission, which was a grand success, which...
Lokesh Jindal, I've asked you a very direct question.
No, I'm simply telling you, whatever Mr. Nair said was something he knows it better. But as per the fact, with respect to the functioning of the department as well as ISRO, it is aptly clear that that's a department where we have minimal political interference.
But Lokesh Jindal, but you are saying that there was minimal political interference, but G. Madhavan Nair has also said, and let me complete this. He said almost half the work for Chandrayaan 2 was done earlier, but all those things were diverted for the Mars mission because the UPA wanted to show that some major event is happening before the 2014 election. So we, which means the ISRO, had to start from scratch, and only after the Modi regime came to power, they reinstated the old program. So Chandrayaan 2 preparations were done, but all the energy, all the focus was diverted to the Mars mission because the UPA government wanted to show that something big was happening ahead of 2014. Respond.
No, Swati. No, Swati. I would defer to that because as per the rules of business, the Department of Space, it is allocated a budget. That's via the Finance Ministry. And that is the only bureaucratic interference, or we will say the political interference.
Nothing was happening as per the rule of business. If you go by the allegation leveled by the former ISRO chairperson, G. Madhavan Nair, sir, nothing was going by the rule of the business. He's very clearly saying that, just to show that something big was happening ahead of the Lok Sabha polls, they wanted us to quickly prepone the Mars mission. That's the allegation. You're not responding to that. Let me open this up and go across to our other guests as well. I want to bring in Vivek Silas. Vivek Silas, then there are some in the opposition who are, siding with the colonial mindset and saying कि हाँ गरीबों को पैसा दे देना चाहिए था instead of ISRO. Isn't this a double standard? On one hand, you're congratulating ISRO and taking credit for it or giving credit to Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. On the other hand, there are some who say, क्यों दे रहे हैं इनको पैसा?
Well, very good evening, ma'am, and congratulations to you as well. I can just say that the credit only goes to the scientists of ISRO. And it is the 54 years of hard work by our scientists, our great scientists, that has led to the success of Chandrayaan thing. Nothing more than that. We salute, congratulate, honor, respect, adore our great scientists. Politics should not be played here. What was being played yesterday, we saw as soon as the Chandrayaan landed on the moon very successfully. It was the Prime Minister that came into the frame and started giving the speech to the people of India. Actually, the Bharatiya Janata Party is trying to politicize it for the upcoming 2024 election. But the general people of India, the masses of India, they know. It is the hard work of the ISRO and the scientists of India that has made the country proud.
That the scientists
so there is no need at all to bring politics into it.
The Prime Minister has not launched the Chandrayaan 3 mission. They know that the scientists are behind it. Is it wrong to congratulate your team when you achieve such a milestone? Vivek Silas, is it wrong? The Prime Minister has spoken to athletes as well who won laurels for the country. Was he trying to politicize that as well?
या अगर प्रधानमंत्री जी की सुने तो इसरो को तो उनको ये भी बता देना चाहिए था कि गटर से गैस कैसे निकाली जाती है।
प्रधानमंत्री ने अपनी पूरी स्पीच में ये बताइए, प्रधानमंत्री ने अपनी पूरी स्पीच में कब कहा, प्रधानमंत्री ने अपनी पूरी स्पीच में कब कहा कि इसका श्रेय मुझे और मेरी पार्टी को जाता है?
As Mr. Lokesh Jindal said right now, as Mr. Lokesh Jindal quoted right now, what Mr. J.P. Nadda, the president of Bharatiya Janata Party said, he started giving credit
मैं आपसे प्रधानमंत्री, आपने कहा प्रधानमंत्री तुरंत आए बोलने लगे और प्रधानमंत्री ने पूरा लाइमलाइट ले लिया। अब वो देश के प्रधानमंत्री हैं, इतना बड़ा, पिछली बार चंद्रयान 2 के मिशन के वक्त वो वहां पर मौजूद थे और इस बार वो वहां मौजूद नहीं थे। जब लॉन्च हुआ तो उन्होंने आके टीम को कंग्रेचुलेट किया। इसमें गलत क्या हो गया? इसमें गलत क्या हो गया?
Sadly, I'll tell you one more thing. After the Pulwama attack, प्रधानमंत्री जी ने तो आपने जो हमारे शहीद थे उनकी फोटो पीछे लगा के राजस्थान में
कोई भी सवाल पूछे आप उसका जवाब नहीं दे रहे, कोई भी सवाल पूछो आप उसका जवाब नहीं दे रहे, किसी भी सवाल का जवाब आप नहीं दे रहे। संजू वर्मा वांट्स टू कम इन। संजू वर्मा, द प्राइम मिनिस्टर टुक अवे द लाइमलाइट। पहले इसरो चीफ को बोलने देना था, प्रधानमंत्री खुद ही सबको कांग्रेचुलेट करने लग गए। रिस्पॉन्ड।
I did not want to make this political, but let me remind the समाजवादी पार्टी 2022 के असेंबली इलेक्शन के पहले बड़ा सीना तान कर, तालियां बजाकर, डंके की चोट पर हवा में उड़ते हुए ये नारे लगा रहे थे कि नरेंद्र मोदी और योगी आदित्यनाथ की डबल इंजन सरकार तो 2022 में कभी आएगी नहीं, ये कहते हुए कि जनता सब जानती है। तो भाई साहब, ये पब्लिक सब जानती है, इसीलिए आपको 2022 में वापस
बिल्कुल
मुंह खानी पड़ी और सिर्फ 111 सीटें मिली। आई डिड नॉट इंटरप्ट यू।
इतिहास में मत जाइए संजू।
अभी सुनिए,
अभी की बात कीजिए, अभी की बात कीजिए संजू वर्मा।
हाँ, मैं अभी की बात ही कर रही हूँ। 111 सीटें मिली आपको, इसलिए चुप हो जाइए और शांति से मेरी बात सुनिए, क्योंकि आपने प्रधानमंत्री के बारे में टिप्पणी की, पुलवामा के बारे में टिप्पणी की। प्रॉब्लम यह है कि समाजवादी पार्टी की तो आज लोकसभा में 3 सीटें हैं।
प्रॉब्लम ये है कि प्रधानमंत्री जी ने उन शहीदों की फोटो लगाई।
नहीं, एक सेकंड, इसको इलेक्शन से और दूसरे मुद्दों से मत जोड़िए प्लीज।
लोकसभा में
प्लीज लेट्स नॉट लिंक दिस टू इलेक्शन or any other issue. Let's stay on the topic. I want to bring in Mr. Reddy now. Mr. Reddy, you know, how do you respond to this credit war which is on? The Congress party says give the credit where it's due. In every tweet, the Congress party leaders have mentioned contribution of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. BJP says this is only out of hatred for Narendra Modi.
No, it's unfortunate that while the entire country is celebrating such a great achievement of our nation and the scientists, these two parties, BJP and Congress, are fighting on, who should get the credit. The successive prime ministers will contribute their best to the country because they are a prime minister of the country. Once they are elected, they are the prime minister. I don't see anything wrong. The honorable prime minister spoke on the occasion, but at the same time, I find it, wrong that BJP should be trying to take the credit, whether it is JP Nadda or somebody else making a comment that during Modi only these things have happened. These technologies cannot be developed overnight. They will take, sufficient time. So basically, the entire credit should go to the scientists. And I don't think the performance of the ISRO or the dedication and commitment of the scientists will be based on who is the prime minister of the country. Modi ji hai to zyada kaam kiye, ya Nehru ji hai to zyada kaam kiye, Chandrasekhar hai to kaam nahi kiye. ऐसा थोड़ी हो सकता। I mean, this is immaturity. These two political parties are trying to take the credit, but people of the country clearly understand this is the hard work, dedication and commitment, and the wishes of the entire country is there with them that we should succeed this time. And all these achievements, the credit goes to the team of S. Somnath and his team and all those scientists who have worked. Even, across the country, there are many scientists. Even from
so you're saying both sides.
There are 2-3 scientists.
You're saying both sides are indulged in this credit war. You're saying not just one party, but both sides want to take credit. Okay, I want to bring in Shubrashta. Shubrashta, now, Mr. Reddy is saying it's not just the Congress, but then there are leaders of the BJP as well. The Prime Minister must not have mentioned the contribution of his party, his government, but then there are leaders of this party who kept on mentioning the Prime Minister's leadership, kept on saying this has happened under our regime. So was that not a race, a bid to take credit?
Swati, I think every Indian should take credit for this achievement, and I think BJP is a national party, if I'm not wrong. If I'm not wrong, Mr. Modi is the Prime Minister of this country, and if I'm also not wrong, it is not, there's no harm in just taking and giving each other due credit. I don't know why the opposition is always so riled up and so twisted that it's never able to celebrate any achievement that we make as a nation. It should have been very graceful on part of the opposition to just congratulate the ISRO scientists. If they did not want to congratulate our current Prime Minister, by all means they shouldn't have. But then to say that it is all due to Nehru and Rajiv Gandhi and not because of Mr. Modi is a sham of a logic. It just shows opposition in a very bitter light. Point number 2. I think it's very important for us as Indians to understand that it's a historic moment for us. We are one of the 4 countries who have created a mark in this space. The way in which Chandrayaan 3 was launched and has been successful, it's a moment of great scientific pride for all of us, and I think this will propel a lot of youngsters to go into the exploratory domain, to take up space technology and other areas related to space in academia and as well. It's a great moment for us. Thirdly, I think this logic that we should be spending our money elsewhere and not on space explorations is such a colonial logic.
And there are some Subhrashtra who are supporting it. There are some who are supporting it, saying this money should be used for the welfare of the people.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'll tell you who was. Swati, you and I think passed around the same time in this country from our graduation institutes, and I'm pretty sure you know the kind of ideological slant these people have. If it were given to them, we should not have any ministry active in India today than those which provide basic services to Indian people. If we were, we should not have defense, we should not have institute that looks into IT sector, we should not even have a finance ministry according to them. So by that twisted commie logic, we cannot function. By commie, I mean communist logic, we cannot function. India will continue to have different ministries. Indian people will continue to celebrate their achievements, and if they have so much of problems, sorry to use the internet lingo, but they can buy a fresh supply of Bernal.
Okay, all right. I want to bring in Professor Subodh Mehta as well. Before I ask you a question, sir, there are some who also indulged in fakery. Despite being fact-checked, they continued with that. Credit dena nahi dena is a different story, but to spread fake news. Let's first listen to this reaction by KC Venugopal, and then I'll come to you.
Yesterday was a pride of moment for all of us. Being Indian, we are all really very much happy, and we are in a proudful moment. Chandrayaan 3 mission has been successfully done the venture. But at the same time, the government has to look into the priority which they have given to this area. Engineers are not getting salaries, and they are cutting their budget. No, this thing has to be think of. This is a fact. You can check. But my question is that their employees are not getting salary. They have to get salary.
Professor Mehta, was the opposition so rattled that they resorted to fakery?
Swati, look, when you look to ISRO from 1962, ISRO has moved from one threshold to another threshold, and each one of us should take pride in that. ISRO has now become a trailblazer in, giving Chandrayaan, and Chandrayaan 3 has landed on moon. We should all congratulate each other, and moreover, we should also congratulate the ISRO chairman and his leadership and his team. What Venugopal was talking about, he was saying that in last 17 months, the engineers who were involved in this project did not get a salary. Moreover, there was also a budget cut of the Chandrayaan 3 by 32%. Moreover, when you look to when the Chandrayaan 3 landed on the south pole of the moon, Prime Minister should have kept aside. He should have allowed the ISRO chairman Somnathan to address his team and address the nation, because the nation wanted to know more about the Chandrayaan 3, and the scientist should have spoken his mind. But rather than speaking his mind, it was handed over to Prime Minister, and he spoke for only 23 seconds, and Prime Minister spoke for 10 minutes. Prime Minister should have spoken once, Somnath, the chairman have completed their, address to the nation, and also the address to his colleagues, the team. When you look to the Prime Minister, right from 2014, each and every example I can give you, Prime Minister believes in self-promotion. Prime Minister
he believes in self-promotion, that's why he keeps giving the credit to ISRO.
Obsessed.
He believes in self-promotion, that's why he in fact dedicated the entire mission, saying this mission is for all of humanity. Sanju Verma, please come in and also respond to what Professor Mehta is repeating, despite Digvijay Singh and others being fact-checked about salaries not being paid.
No. Mr. Mehta, I heard you.
Look, let me allow Swati. This is not done. Please.
Okay. Give him 30 seconds to finish his point, Sanju Verma. Then you can come in.
Yes. Please let me come in. When you know, Prime Minister should act like Mahendra Singh Dhoni. Prime Minister should act like Mahendra Singh Dhoni. If he is a leader, he should bring the colleagues forward. He should bring the team forward and let enjoy together. But rather than doing so, he was talking of Amrit Kal and all that. So when you look to Prime Minister, all the cameras are behind him. Even when he did not allow each one of us, he did not allow to speak. Neither his cabinet speaks, nor his colleagues speak.
What is this?
He kept the parliament on the silent mode. He did not debate. And
कहाँ से कहाँ ले जा रहे हैं प्रोफेसर मेहता? संजू वर्मा respond.
When the president of India
response, please take a response.
Because he did not allow.
Please take a response. Please take a response. Okay, go ahead.
First and foremost, Mr. Mehta, please learn to pronounce the name of the ISRO chief correctly. It is not Somnathan. It is Mr. S. Somnath. आपको इसरो चीफ का नाम तो बराबर से बोलना आता नहीं, यहाँ बैठकर नरेंद्र मोदी को आप भाषण दे रहे हो. Just learn
Sanju
to
Verma,
pronounce the name of the ISRO chief. I refuse to debate like this. I did not recollect. I will not debate because you are not moderating the debate.
Sanju Verma, I know better than you.
I am not going to be heckled by this man.
Sanju Verma, he is not heckling you. He is just saying. He is not heckling you. He is just saying that he did not mispronounce his name. Go ahead, finish your point.
No, you can go back and check the audio. You can right now ask your team to play the audio. He said Somnathan.
Okay.
You can check your audio.
Okay,
he
go
said
ahead.
Somnathan.
Okay, go ahead and finish your point.
आपको इसरो चीफ का नाम मालूम नहीं है, यहाँ बैठकर नरेंद्र मोदी को भाषण देने की आपकी हैसियत नहीं है. Now listen, I will tell you what a prime minister should.
संजू वर्मा, हैसियत पे मत जाइए. Please, you can counter him on the points that you want to. हैसियत पे और ऐसे personal jibes मत.
Let me come in. ठीक है. Okay, let me come in, Swati.
I have more hassle than you.
क्या नहीं
you know, I have more hassle. What hassle? This is not in the dictionary of Rashtriya Janata Dal.
चलिए आप बोलिए because you're not being stopped by the anchor.
You are Sanju Verma. I gave you the opportunity to counter. अगर आप उन पर हैसियत and if you're going to take personal jibes, he is going to respond to that. So let's stick to the issues.
Let me finish. अब मैं बताती हूँ कैसा प्राइम मिनिस्टर नहीं.
Okay, Mr. Mehta, now let her finish. Mr. Mehta, let her finish. Let her finish. I stopped her where I thought it was objectionable. Let her finish now.
Yes. The problem is in this country on national television you can abuse the prime minister, but you cannot say anything to a panelist who is abusive and abuses the prime minister. That is called freedom of speech. So please thank Prime Minister Modi for giving you.
I have not said anything which is unparliamentary.
Now I will tell you what a prime minister should not be. Now please listen, I'm not getting personal. Now listen to facts because Swati Joshi has given me the time to give you some facts and I will take the opportunity. 450 schemes and projects and institutions named after Nehru as per RTI query submitted to Venkaiah Naidu on the floor of the parliament, and this is why the Times of India report. 12 central schemes, 52 state schemes, 28 sports tournaments, 28 trophies, 19 stadiums, 5 airports, 11 ports, 98 educational institutions, 51 awards, 15 fellowships, 39 hospitals, 47 medical institutions, 37 chairs, 39 festivals, 74 roads, 79 buildings. All named after who? After Nehru Gandhi family.
Okay. All right. The entire country has seen the success of Chandrayaan 3 mission. The entire country knows that the scientists and the engineers and the entire team of the ISRO is behind it. There are reactions coming in from political parties trying to take credit, and people understand. People can see through. लोगों को दिखाई देता है, चाहे आप कितना भी सेल्फ प्रमोशन कर दें, लोगों को दिखाई देता है कि कौन सच कह रहा है, कौन झूठ. And that's why I leave it to the viewers. Decide for yourselves who really is trying to take the limelight away from ISRO, from the team and their efforts, and who is indulging in credit war. I'm thanking all the guests on debate number 1. Sanju Verma and Shubhrashta will continue with us on debate number 2. Lokesh Jindal will also continue with us.